Hi there, I'm Ray, welcome to my channel and welcome to my mid-January January TBR. So basically I just have been a bit slow getting around to doing all of the turn of the year videos that I probably should have done a couple of weeks ago. I have just filmed my reading goals for 2022 video, which I've been kind of churning over in my mind and doing the background work for a few weeks, but hadn't actually completed. So this is going to be a bit of a weird TBR video because I've already read 5 books this month. However, I'm going to go ahead with my plan for creating my TBRs each month, which is to use this lovely stack of prompt cards, to pull 12 cards, match them up to 12 books which I'm going to intend to read during the month of January. This is a fairly gentle form of TBR, a possibility pile, I guess it could be called. I thought I would take you with me on the journey. I reckon I will probably be able to match the 5 books I've already read to whichever cards I pull, and if not, then, never mind. So, without further ado, what I first need to do is shuffle these because I haven't shuffled them since I wrote them, and so if I pull them right now I'm just going to get 8 classics. I'm not very good at shuffling, and these cards are not very easy to shuffle, so how should we best do this? Right, so what I've done in the end is I just muddled them all up, and then I went through and made sure that there weren't any clumps left of the same ones together and spread them out if that was the case, and then I just gave them a final little shuffle in this sort of awkward way so that I don't know what's on top. Now I'm going to lay out the 12 cards and we'll see what I'm going to pick for myself to read for the rest of January. First up, underneath the box of delights, we have a classic. Book of Trains is a children's or YA. Then we have, a booktube friend pick, Under Stick at the Dump, by Royal Command. It's another children's. Pantomime Stories is a UK window book. I have one in mind for this. And Rural Rides is a historical fiction. Then we have a gap filler book, so that means something which I feel the absence of having not read. It's kind of hard to describe what I mean by this. A book that I feel like I ought to have already read. A comfort read, hurrah! Something spiritual. Another comfort read. Something seasonal, and another historical fiction. Okay, let's get thinking. So, I've had a look at the books that I've already read so far this month, and 3 out of the 5 of them match up with a prompt. So what I've done is, if I've actually read the book, then I'm writing it on the postcard in pen, and if I'm planning to read the book, then I'm writing it on the postcard in pencil, and I can ink them in when I actually read them. For one of the historical fiction books that I've already read this month is The Fields of Home by Marita Conlon-McKenna. This is the 3rd in the Children of the Famine trilogy, which I have really, really enjoyed, about a family of children who have to walk across Ireland during the Great Potato Famine, and then follows them through their coming of age and even into adulthood. This is a children's fiction series, and I think they were wonderful, honestly, just like a textbook exemplar of how to write children's historical fiction. The next one I've already got down, as ticked off is Right Ho Jeeves, which I listened to on audiobook. I'm ongoing listening to Stephen Fry reading the Jeeves books on Audible and really enjoying them. It's just honestly such comfort for me, such a delight. I'm getting through about one a month, but I kind of have to hold myself back, otherwise it would be more than one a month. And I do want to make, I know there's loads of them, but I also want to make them last. For many years of my life, I would like to have a PG Wodehouse every month that I can listen to. And the last one is UK Windows, and for this I've put down English Pastoral by James Rebanks. James Rebanks also wrote A Shepherd's Life, and it was honestly such a fascinating read for me, both of the books. The insight into UK farming culture and the concerns and perspectives and knowledge that UK farmers have that the general population who buy their food just don't have a clue about absolutely blows my mind. And Rebanks writes with such passion about his job, such understanding of the contemporary issues surrounding it. I just found it really, really beautiful and moving, as I did The Shepherd's Life before it. In English Pastoral, it's a memoir really of 3 generations of men working on the same farm in the Lake District, so his grandfather, his father and himself, and it looks at the modern agricultural revolution and how things like artificial fertiliser and changes in machinery and breaking down hedgerows and basically this drive for being ultra productive, firstly how that's damaged the landscape, but also the environmental and financial pressures on farmers which force them to do these things. It was completely eye-opening and yeah, definitely a window into a different way of life within the UK. Moving on to what will be my proper TBR, I've got a few hard copy books and quite a lot of audiobooks. I do get through audiobooks probably faster than I get through books that I actually read, you know, with my eyes. So yeah, there's a bit of a mix in here. For one of the comfort reads, I've put down Winnie-the-Pooh by A.A. Milne. I heard Carolyn on Carolyn Marie Reads. She's been raving about Winnie-the-Pooh quite a lot lately, and also my old English teacher when I was at secondary school, we've stayed in touch since, and he now has a young son and was saying to me that I really seriously need to reread Winnie-the-Pooh. So yeah, I've had a few people recommending that to me. I've been wanting to reread it for a while, and I found on Audible for free, if you subscribe, one of the things you can access is the Peter Dennis reading, which Carolyn particularly recommended. It just sounds lovely. It's one of those audiobooks that has additional sounds in the background, so like birdsong and wind in the trees, that sort of thing. I think it'll be absolutely beautiful, and I've genuinely been looking forward to this for quite a while. Then for a seasonal read, I have chosen The Country Child by Alison Uttley, which was on my December TBR, and then I never got around to reading it. This is my folio edition, which is the edition that I really wanted to read. When I was at home, the only option I had to read is this middling condition that I have. So I have this brand new version, and then I have my really, really old version, which is the version I read as a child that is literally like all of the glue has gone, and so it's basically now just a pile of pages and I kind of can't read it, but I don't want to throw it away. And I have this cheap paperback version that's really ugly, so I'm much happier to read it in this edition. The Country Child is a kind of fictionalised memoir about a year in the life of a young girl called Susan Garland living in Derbyshire at the turn of the century on a farm, and it is probably my favourite children's book. It's just the language is really rich, beautiful. Miranda Mills read it as part of her Comfort Book Club in December, and so I think quite a lot of people have been introduced to this book recently, which I'm so happy about because it really deserves to be better known than it is. It feels very seasonal because it follows the cycle of a year, and the cycle of a year on a farm and in the countryside. Each chapter feels very much tied to the season that it's from. So that would be a really nice seasonal read. I'm going to put the cards inside as little like bookmarks. That's a nice idea. A gap filler. I haven't yet read Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I feel like I ought to have read it, so that's going in for the gap filler. I know that this is a dystopia. I think about like a perfect world where everybody's happy, but I don't know much more about it than that. Hello, Fuji. We're looking after one of Tom's colleagues' dogs, and it is time for him to go out, so I will try and finish this off quickly because I think he's after his walk. Yes, hello. We won't be long. Next up, for a historical fiction, I have chosen The Girl with the Pearl Earring by Tracy Chevalier. This was also available on Audible. It's a historical fiction story of Vermeer's painting, The Girl with the Pearl Earring, and like the story behind that. I don't know how close to the truth it is. I need to do a bit more research, but I believe, according to the blurb, he painted one of the servants in his house after kind of forming a relationship with her, even though he is a married man. And so it's about like the breaking of innocence and the suffering that was kind of behind this genius painting. Then for children/YA, I have another book that I found available on Audible. I'm really loving this like Audible open library thing. It's given me access to so many books that I want to read or listen to. The one that I want to read for this is called By Ash, Oak and Thorn, and it's by Melissa Harrison. It's a children's book which is the story of three little creatures who live in an ash tree, I believe, and when they wake up after hibernation, they discover that the tree has been damaged or chopped down, something like that, and so they have to go on a journey to try and find a new place to live. And I think it's like a climate change book presented in a child-friendly way. It sounds really magical and whimsical and beautiful, but also powerful, so I'm really looking forward to that one. For a classic, I am working my way through The Rainbow by D.H. Lawrence. I am where the pencil is. I'm making annotations because this is just so brilliant. I started this for the 1900 to 1950 readathon last year, just didn't get very far with it, and I've picked it back up again now, and I am absolutely loving it. I really adore Lawrence's writing. This is like a family saga set in Nottinghamshire through the late 1800s into the 1900s. Lawrence's writing is just laden with symbolism. I feel like he writes the internal lived experience of people rather than the external things, if that makes sense. I'm absolutely adoring this. I'm taking my time with it, but very much hoping to finish it this month because I'm enjoying it so much. I know, darling, we won't be long. We will not be long. I had another children's YA book on there, and for this, I want to finish reading another one which I've started, although I've only just started it, The Tombs of Atuan, which is the second book in the Earthsea series by Ursula Le Guin. This is set in the same world as the first book, but so far it doesn't have any of the same characters in it, and it looks like it's going to be an exploration of religion, which I always find absolutely fascinating. I also have the card for spiritual, but as I mentioned in my New Year's resolutions, I am not going to talk about spiritual books on YouTube unless I feel like I want to, so I have a plan for the book that I'm going to read for this. If I read it and I want to talk about it, then sorry, Fuji's really ready to go out. If I read it and I want to talk about it, then I will share it in my wrap-up. If I either don't get around to reading it, or if I read it and I just want to keep it to myself, then that's what I'll do. And then my last one is a BookTube friend book. And for this, I haven't asked anybody specifically this month because, you know, I'm already halfway through the month. But if you're a booktuber who watches my channel and you would be keen to recommend a book for me in future, do let me know down in the comments and I will get in touch with you if I ever pull this card again. For this month, I have decided to do a reread of Jane Eyre because... Hey, sorry if that's just been a really jerky transition. My SD card filled up and Fuji was pestering for a walk, so I took him out and then I was really hungry, so I made dinner and then I had dinner, and now it is significantly later than it was before, and I was so close to finishing the video, but didn't quite make it. So, to talk about the final book that I'm putting on my TBR for January. This is for the BookTube friend prompt, and although I haven't specifically asked any of my BookTube friends, I have chosen this book because Milne from Milne Reads, alongside Mary from Mary Among Stories and Sarah from Sarah's Perusals, are doing a Brontëlong read-along this year where they're planning to read all of the Bronte's novels, and the first one that they are doing is Jane Eyre. This is probably my favourite book, and I'm really excited at the prospect of reading or rereading some more of the Bronte's novels this year. That concludes the TBR cards January TBR. I am really excited about all of those options in my possibility pile and I look forward to reading them. I'm hoping to start back up with my reading vlogs, so hopefully you'll be able to find out as I'm going along how I'm finding them all. Thank you as always for watching. I truly hope that you're doing really well and I look forward to seeing you soon in another video. Bye bye.